personal medicine really is about that inner resilience. Personal medicine is about, sometimes we refer to it as the healer within, that natural self-righting capacity that people have. And I think, as I say in the course, professionals often think that human resilience ends at diagnosis. The professions very often train us to believe that our job is to fix the person because they're broken. And what we're doing with personal medicine is that we're turning and disrupting that idea. And we're saying people aren't broken. We're saying that people may be challenged, people may be struggling, people may be hurting, yes, but they are not fundamentally broken. Not only that, but we do not have the power, no matter how brilliant or how many big letters we have after our names, how many degrees we have, we don't have the power to fix anybody. And that's a really important thought, because sometimes I definitely really would like to fix people, particularly sometimes my daughter, who's 27 years old, and I sometimes feel I know better for her life than she knows for her own life. It doesn't work, that the people we love and also the people that we work with have a sense of where they want their lives to go. And our job is to help support them in getting there. And it doesn't mean that because we love them and because we're caring for them and because we may be a professional working with them, it doesn't mean that we sit back and do nothing. But it means we challenge ourselves to trust that this individual is on a path of purpose and that they can, in fact, get to the life that they want. And so personal medicine coaching, to me, is really all about that discipline of continually searching for the healer within each and every person that we meet. And I think that sometimes on our journey as coaches, we meet somebody who strikes us as incurable, as hopeless, as this person is too unwell. This person is too broken. This person, in our heart of hearts, we feel like this person can't get to the life they want. Now, I had this experience as a young clinician. I had come out of graduate school. I had a doctorate in clinical psychology, so I knew a lot of stuff. I had myself had a personal experience of psychosis. And I was working in a community hospital here in the United States. And an older gentleman, in his, maybe he was 60 years old at that time, had come out of living in a state hospital. And he had been living, put away against his will, in that state hospital for 20, 25 years, a long time. His name was Victor. And when he came to the hospital that I was working at, which was a smaller community hospital, Victor spent every day, all day, saying two phrases. There were only two things he said. He said, my shit don't stink. And he said, don't knock me down. That was all he said, over, and he would sing it, and he would say it over and over. And he never said anything else. That's all that seemed to be left of him. Okay. And the other thing that he did was roam around the grounds of this little community hospital that I was in, picking up cigarette butts. And he would find tobacco left at the very end of the cigarette butt, and he would eat it. And he had been doing that for so many years that he had tobacco in his ears, his lips were yellow from the nicotine, and I was physically repulsed by him. I found it awful. And I said to myself, in my heart, I didn't say it to anybody out loud, but in my heart, I said, this guy is never going to make it. And like so many people, what I said is, Victor is a hopeless case. He's hopeless. Instead of saying, I have no hope for Victor. That was the truth. I have no hope. He wasn't hopeless. I was, right? And so my job was to work with a team of people to help transition Victor and many other people from that small community hospital out into the community to a residential facility where staff would live with him and support his independence. And so we did. And of course, Victor loved it because there was a lot more cigarette butts out in the little community than there was at the hospital, right? So he was happy as a clam. Anyway, you know, he continued to be Victor, and 3 months passed, 6 months, a year, and I still had that deep, hopeless feeling. And one day, the group home staff and all of the clients in the group home, we went out to a restaurant, big Chinese restaurant. And in Chinese restaurants here in the United States, they serve big, big menus with hundreds of items. And we're all sitting around a big table. And Victor's saying, don't knock me down, don't knock me down, you know, saying his same thing. And we're all sitting there, and a beautiful waitress came up to each one of us and asked us what we would like to order. And Victor's turn came, and the waitress didn't know any better. She saw a handsome gentleman sitting at the table, so she comes up to him and very lightly says, hello, what can I get for you today, sir? And he ordered an entire meal worth $100 right off the menu. Oh my gosh, my mouth dropped open. I had never seen him do anything except cigarette butts for all that time, and suddenly he orders off the menu. Talk about resilience. Talk about my having met my teacher. I believe that when we meet these people who challenge our hope, those very people become our greatest teachers as personal medicine coaches. Wow. I learned at that moment, I was a very young clinician. I learned he was not a hopeless case. I was having a crisis of hope and owning that. And I've kept that lesson from my teacher, Victor. I've kept that lesson my whole life and honor him for having taught me that even in the most extreme cases, where someone may be in jail, they may be intoxicated, they may be addicted, they may have schizophrenia, never say never, never say that they will never be well, that it truly is true that if we wait with a sense of hope, sometimes change happens rapidly in people's lives. Sometimes change happens slowly and almost imperceptibly. Sometimes we can't even see it. I remember when I was seen as a chronic schizophrenic. My diagnosis, I was 18 and my diagnosis was chronic undifferentiated schizophrenia. And I sat in a chair smoking cigarettes and drinking Coca-Cola. That's all I did, and stared off into space. And people said I was chronic. And when people looked at me as if I was chronic, I could feel it in their eyes. I could feel, I was alive inside of there. I was alive and I was in there. I wasn't just an empty shell. So I think that personal medicine as a practice is built on that very, very deep foundation that we can count on. We should look forward to finding, discovering uncovering the healer within each and every person that we're working with. And that to me is the greatest joy. And it's amazing whenever I'm working with someone around personal medicine, particularly someone who's had a very hard time, they will look up after discovering their personal medicine and say, I never thought of that for myself. I never knew there was something good within me. I never knew there was a healer within me. I never knew. Because people just internalize the labels that they get: schizophrenic, borderline, bipolar, people, a drug addict, criminal, deviant. People internalize those stigmas, internalize that self-hatred. And when we come along with personal medicine and say, no, I can't tell you how to get well. That wisdom is within you. Let's find it. Wow. It blows a lot of people's mind. And it's so very different. And I think I am just thrilled that you are going to be taking the practice of personal medicine out to the people of Pakistan, out to your friends, your family, and to the places where you work. And especially teach the students, teach the young ones coming up. Don't let them fall into those old traps of believing their job is to fix people. Help them understand that there is a healer within. Help them discover that within themselves, and then help others. And that's the beauty of this course, by the way. And you guys mentioned it, was at first we discover our own personal medicine and celebrate that. And then we can move on to work with others. And I do think, and it's for sure true here in the United States, that we have a lot of oppression, both socioeconomic depression through capitalism. We've got all kinds of racial disparities here in the United States. And I love the way personal medicine pulls back the lens, we call it, and helps us look not just at what's going on in the person's head, but also what's going on in the world around them. That sometimes what gets called being mad, being crazy, means having a sane reaction to an insane situation, right? And so that's an element of personal medicine I think I use a lot in my work with people, helping people say, well, maybe it's not all in my head. Maybe there are some external forces that are making my life very difficult, and what can I do about that? And I think that that's a very important dimension of personal medicine as well. So thank you all for what you do. I'm thrilled that you like the class.